Hi, Pranav. How are you?
Good.
I think Google has my accounts mixed up. That's not the usual picture that you see of me, is it?
Uh-huh.
So somehow it's using my normal Google account, and I've connected with that. But I guess it shouldn't matter much. So I figured we go through some of the questions from the last test that I handed out. Do you know if your sister is planning to join?
Wait, what did you say?
I said, do you know if your sister is planning to join?
Yeah, she should be joining.
Okay, then I'll just grab the test and I'll be back in just 1 second. BRB.
Oh my, wait, maybe we both should do it on one screen because both have the same test. Do you have your own test or do you have your own test?
Hello?
Do you have your own test?
No.
Hello, I'm here.
Hi.
Hey. Okay, so you guys are the regular the folks. I keep on getting some weird uh, exception on mine, so hopefully I don't face any issues while we're talking. So this session is really for you guys. I mean, we've had a good number of labs and so on. Did you guys want to discuss things that came out of the last test, that last review test that I gave, or did you want to discuss anything from the labs or what?
Um, do you know if we're gonna go over free response questions?
Pre-response questions. Yeah, that's the only thing that we haven't covered, but it's like 50% of your test.
Yeah, and
So yeah,
we won't be here on the 29th. So we're gonna be taking the last class as well.
um, okay. Well, yeah, we can go over some free response questions, um, either over email or on this section or what have you. So we can do some of that today. Um,
Okay.
so before you even go over that, did you guys do the multiple choice questions?
I didn't finish mine. I just have the ones I did in class. I was planning on doing them today.
Okay. When you look at the quality of the questions, though, they aren't quite as difficult as what was in that practice test, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think that's the 2009 exam is a little more representative of what you'll face, so you don't need to panic. I mean, most of the questions would be something that you should mostly be able to figure out. I mean, if you spend this much time and you know what a while loop is and an if, and, most of the major constructs,
Mm-hmm.
then I think you have a chance to do just fine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, so if that's the request, then let's talk about some of these free response questions. Now, granted, I haven't really read these over myself, so we'll just kind of figure it out together, I guess. That's fine with you.
Are we going over some specific ones?
Yeah, well, we'll start at the beginning and see what looks good. Have you read them over yet?
Oh, are we doing the ones from the book?
No, I figured we look at some from that 2009 exam.
Okay. Wait, no, the one that you gave us this past week or the one from the week before?
Yeah, the one I gave you this past week is the 2009 exam.
Okay, so then I'm gonna sit with my brother because we only have one book. So. Oh, you. Oh, you're there.
Can you turn your mic off? It's on. Okay. You open the book to. You know what page the free response questions are on? Do you know what page they are on?
Sorry, were you talking to me?
Yeah.
Well, it's section 2. Um, so,
Okay, yeah.
so let's see. So, if I guess page 66 looks like the right page.
Yeah. Okay. Should I read it out loud?
Well, we all have it in front of us, but sure, go ahead.
Okay. A statistician is studying sequences of numbers obtained by repeatedly tossing a six-sided number cube. On each side of the number cube is a single number in the range of 1 to 6 inclusive, and no number is repeated on the cube. The statistician
Easy for you to say.
is particularly interested in runs of numbers. A run occurs when two or more consecutive tosses of the cube produce the same value. For example, in the following sequence of cube tosses, there are runs starting at positions 1, 6, 12, and 14, and then it gives you an index and runs. I'm not sure what they are. Oh wait, so
Mm-hmm.
it's when numbers are repeated. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the number cube is represented by the following class. Public class number cube. At return an integer value between 1 and 6 inclusive. And then public int toss. And then the goal is to implement a method that collects the results of several tosses of a number cube. And another method that calculates the longest run found in a sequence of tossing.
Okay. All right. So on the next page, they give you some more description on this get cube tosses, right?
Sorry, what?
On the next page, wait, someone's pinging me. Hold on. Who is bugging me now on my phone? No. Okay. Sorry. So on the next page, on page 67, right?
Oh yeah.
So that's where you actually have to do work.
Mm-hmm.
So if you read it over, they describe exactly what the method has to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to return an array of values obtained by tossing the number cube num toss times. You take a cube. Cube is a number cube class, and the number of tosses, and then you're filling in this array. So just at a high level, do you guys have a pretty good idea? Do you have any idea how to start, or?
Maybe we use like the for loop with the colon, like that goes through everything in the array and do something.
Okay. Well, now let's start at the beginning. You have to return an array. How do you allocate storage for that array?
You make an array.
What keyword do you use to create an array?
So we need a number array, so we do int and then brackets. That we name it num tosses, and then.
Well, maybe we should type the code. You guys could project your screen and just put it in either Eclipse, or you could put it in even a WordPad or something like that.
Yeah, I'll do it in a Word because like on the test we're not gonna have like a.
Right, you won't have Word either, but that's fine.
Yeah, but. So let me project our screen. Okay, so I'll just start by copying the thing that they gave me. So.
I'm just going to refill my drink. I'll be gone 10 seconds. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so you got the signature. So what happens now? Good.
Alright, so let's see. Returns an array of the values obtained by tossing number two num tosses times. For a number cube precondition num tosses is greater than 0. Should I do that? Num tosses is greater than 0? Oh wait, no, you can't.
No, that's kind of a common thing, you know.
So I'll make an array, right? So
Sure.
int yeah, no, okay. Num toss value. So right
So
above
far, so good.
that takes a number cube and tosses toss oh what? Takes a number cube and a number of tosses as parameters. The method should return an array of the values produced by tossing the number cube a given number of times. So what's this number cube that's being entered?
Excuse me.
They made they made like a constructor variable.
Well, let's see here. Are we doing much with that cube anyways? What do we really have to do with that cube? I mean, it looks like all we really need to do, I don't think we need to use that cube in the method.
Okay. Yeah, cube passes, so. Oh my god, I don't even know what to do.
Oh, well, sorry, we will have to use the cube, but let's start at the beginning. You have an array, but you haven't allocated any storage for it, right? So how do you do that?
So let's see. Toss value equals new. New. No. No. Type of and yeah, and wait, I
We'll put the how long it is.
we don't know how long it
Okay,
is.
then it's in the book. The names should be the same.
So you got a new int. Oh, good. You're about to correct what I was going to say. Thank you.
Wait, what is it do? I'm trying to make a new one.
So you have the right syntax, but how big is your array going to be?
I don't know that, right?
Well,
Oh,
according
toss
to
it. Got it.
okay, okay, that looks good. So now you're supposed to fill in this array with the bunch of values from calling toss, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you need a loop of some kind.
Just do the regular loop because
Sure, the regular one's fine.
as long as I is less than or equal to, oh no, less than like 0. 1, 2, then can first. Okay. So hopefully, we would take each. Okay, so is this like, oh, would I use the toss method or
Yeah, you need to call toss,
okay?
but
So I can do
so
cube dot toss, so that's not, I don't know.
cube.toss is right, yeah, because the toss is a method of the cube class.
Oh, I can do that.
We can do that, but we need to do more than that. You need to store it in the array.
Okay, so first let me make a grid. Should I make another variable or
No, you already created the array. You just have to fill it in.
okay? So cube dot toss equals I, and then alright, long toss values. I is that right?
You got a lot of the right parts. So one thing is I is your loop value, so it doesn't make sense to reset I, but it does make sense to dereference numtoss values with I. So you've got, if you can kind of combine those two lines that you have, the one that's doing cube.toss and the one that's dereferencing numtoss values, then you have it.
That.
Now you're guessing.
Oh, is this That's not right? Oh,
No. So tell me something about that array that you created. What's the first index in that array?
no. The first index is 0.
And what's the second index?
Oh, I know. So this would be I, and then this would be equal to I. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay.
And that's really all there is to this question.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's all they're asking for.
Oh, that was.
So that's not so bad, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a part B? Oh, there is a part B.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so write the method get longest run that takes its parameter an array of integer values representing a series of the num-cubed possible. The method returns the starting index in the array of a run of maximum size. A run is defined as the repeated occurrence of the same value in 2 or more consecutive positions in the array. For example, the following array contains 2 runs of length 4, one starting at index 6 and another starting at index 14. The method may return either of those starting indexes. If there are no runs of any value, the method returns -1. Like that, and then they give me complete the method. So let's make this get longest run method. So public static get longest run. So it returns the starting index of the longest run, 2 or more consecutive repeated values in the array values. At param values is an array of integer values representing a series of number cube classes. The precondition is that values.length is greater than 0. It returns the starting index of a run of maximum size. The starting index of a run of maximum size, -1, if there is no run. So it's saying that it would return the one that has the longest repetitions, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So let's see.
It doesn't return the value, it returns the index within the array. So if you look at the example on page 68, right?
Yeah.
Then when you're trying to figure it out, there's 2 runs of length 4, right? There's one that starts at index 6, and that's 4 2s, and then there's one at index 14, that's 4 5s, right?
Oh yeah.
So your right answer should be either 6 or 14. So it's telling you the index in the array where these runs start, but it's not telling you the value.
Okay, so it'll return both? Like, it'll return...
No, it can only return 1 because it's just returning an integer.
So it would return the first one or the second one? Like,
it's according to the description, they don't care which one you return.
Oh, okay. So that's... Okay. The first thing I have to do is, so I'm returning an int, which is the index. Now, should I use the for loop that runs through all of them, or?
You could. You really don't need to, though.
Okay.
So before we start even trying to type code, Pranav, what do you think about our algorithm should be?
So, for which question? So,
On page, this is the get longest run problem.
max. So we should ask the parameters we should have. So we should have an integer value between so we have a variable called like first we have a variable called maximum size and we have a for loop that checks the whole array.
Mm-hmm.
And then so the maximum size starts at 0 and it checks the whole array, and then for each loop there should be a for loop inside if statement inside the for loop,
Mm-hmm.
so it can check if the current value it's checking is greater than the max run,
Mm-hmm.
and then at the end it returns. Oh, and there should also be
No, you can return either, or if it's 6 or 14, just put the return either. So the end result just gonna be the starting index
right.
or 14. Yeah, but this is not gonna
Well, I was hearing a lot of good things about your approach. So good. So you're going from I to the values dot length. That's good. Okay, so um, as we visit each value on the array, what are we trying to do?
we're trying to check if it matches the previous value in the array.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so let's see. So, oh, should I make an if statement right now? Okay. And tell me when I'm ready. Oops. Equal to and maximum. Oh wait, no, no, no. Wait, actually, oh, okay. This makes sense.
But how do we know? No. So what I meant was that there should be a variable here in the beginning called max. Uh, or max. I mean, longest run. And we should set it to 0 in the beginning. Pressing the should stop.
So what? So this one is.
Yeah. So
So I would say like if this happens in stores,
No. So what I was thinking was that the condition in the if statement should be that if int I if the if values of index I is greater than the longest run, then it should set that to the longest run.
Okay, but we also need one to compare the two values in the potential.
Oh yeah, that's
So that's what I was trying to do, but I don't know if it's gonna work.
Maybe you need a
So then
current run.
have a variable.
Wait, what?
I was saying maybe you need a current run also. Current, like
Oh.
just an idea. Because definitely you're gonna have to know what the longest run was, but
Or shouldn't we have a variable called old run to see what the previous one was or something like that? So we can
Compared to what?
compare the
No, that's why we're doing current run. Does that make sense or no? Does that make sense?
not really.
so I mean, let me point out some things to you guys. So one thing is you think about what you're trying to do, right? And think about the information that you have to return, and what intermediate results might make sense. So ultimately, you're going to have to know an index where that longest run starts, right? So there's one is how long the longest run is, right? And the other one is where that longest index is, right? So there's those things. And then as you're going through the array, you may have some intermediate results. Like, so for example, you're looking at a run and you're not sure if that run is going to end up being longer than the longest run. So you might need some intermediate results also. So those types of things I think you would need. The longest run is good. You might need the longest index or index of the longest run, and then some temporary variables around that too.
And on the test, should I be formatting my code?
You might want to indent better than this just so they can read it. It doesn't have to be. They don't really judge the indentation. It's just to make it so that people can read the code.
All the variables.
So, okay, so first let's do which one is the longest. Okay. Int I value, so start at index 0, or we can make another variable if you want. We can do the longest one, or no, wait, current value. Oh wait, no.
Priyachi, I'm having a little trouble understanding your syntax.
I don't know what I'm
Like, read it, like, try to understand what's happening.
Okay, so first, okay, so I don't think this really makes sense.
Like, try it. Like, think about what it does.
Okay, so this one is going through each, this part of the code is going through each thing in the array. This could go through each thing in the array if we set it to do that. And so if I do, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to make just okay. First, we need to find out where the numbers repeat, and then we have to find out for how long do they repeat, and then we have to find out the index based on that. So to find out if the numbers repeat, Is this wrong? Can I not use this? Like,
Well, I couldn't understand the syntax, so I wasn't sure what you were trying to do.
oh, this one?
Yeah.
Okay, so this one I'm trying to like. Okay, so if the just say I was putting I and I plus one because if I, the current one, is the same thing as the
That's not what it says. It says if integer array values is equal to
yeah, I mean
integer
I
array.
said I and I plus one before, but then I deleted it.
No. So it should be values I, not int.
What?
The format.
Oh, okay.
What happened?
Wait, what?
So the format, instead of this format, it should be because you already made the
That's what I was trying to do to see like if
I think so, but just to be a stickler here, if you do that, someone might think you're trying to assign values I to values I plus one. If you're just doing a comparison, believe it or not, that is a deadly mistake in C programming. I mean, because it'll start setting stuff instead of comparing stuff.
yeah. But this syntax is right?
Now your syntax is readable, yes.
No, but like the way I'm doing it is right.
Well, okay, let's see where it goes.
Okay, so if those values are equal, then oh what the okay. If those values are equal, then I have to
maybe.
okay, so then let's just say then it or no, longest
Maybe you should put comments like after each of these variables to explain what they're doing, and then you can maybe have a better idea of where you need to use each of them.
I don't even know what this one's supposed to. Current value would be like current longest run. Do you know something you can just work on with it and I don't even know.
So wouldn't current value like be the same thing as values I, or maybe something else? Because
just do what you're doing. I'll just watch.
maybe I'll create create another method so that maybe
Copy paste that.
I'll just create another method from scratch.
You have to use
So you'll create a helper method to do some of the work.
No, I'll just like start it over so I can know what's
Can you at least copy paste the first line because you have to. Okay.
so first. Then you'll create a variable longest streak, which will count how many times numbers repeated. So roughly you should have current streak and longest streak maybe.
Yes, that's a good idea.
And then I'll
You
have
combine longest and streak into one word. I have long.
Closer. It's the longest streak.
so I'll have an index very long. And we'll have make sure I sustain that value.
Enginevalues.com.
We have its again, which says the if statement should check. So it has to know. So this should be set at 0 for beginning. Okay.
That's a good idea.
So if the first we have to make sure that which one are you doing first?
What are you trying to do first?
Maybe I'll do the current streak first. If the so what I was gonna do is if the value here, so values I. Okay.
What if your I equals 0? It should be I plus 1. but then you have to start it at setting number 2. Or yeah, you can start it at I equals 0. You can't have that. What if it does?
Then maybe we should start this at 1.
Can't, no, go to yours. Oh,
Then can we just
oh.
value?
Who's that Tawana?
When this one?
That is him.
Just start at 1. Value of
Yeah, what should be value?
Okay.
values I is equal to values I minus 1. Then we should add 1 to the current streak.
Okay. I like where you're going with this.
Like, if this is the first round, and values 0 and values 1 are the same, then it would add 1. Else, else it should set current streak to
Our streak's already 0. You don't have to do anything.
like maybe already increased, and then we need to set it back to 0.
And now you have to make another 60.
This part is current value. And this part is going to be for the price. So for longest week, we should have this right now. So if current week is greater than longest week, then we should set longest street to current street.
Okay. So, Priyanti, so Pranav is putting some pretty good stuff together. Does it make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay. So, so Pranav, maybe you should let Priyanti figure out how to figure out the index
Okay.
of where that streak started.
Now close the door.
How are you making out?
I don't know how to record the index for the longest one.
Maybe we walk through the beginning part of the logic then. So you got the right idea. So first things first, when the values I is equal to values I minus one, so Pranav already put current streak plus plus, right? But do you need to change the current index? Because you're counting from some index earlier where that streak started, right? So like, let's say that you have an array of 10 items and they're all it's filled with 5, right? So the index that you want to keep track of is 0 because your long streak started at 0 and it went all the way to the end. So let me ask you this: why are you changing the current index if the streak is still going?
This would be outside of the loop. I want to record what index there is like a repetition at, like what index is starting at, and that's why it's current and it's not the longest index.
Well, that's okay because you initialize it to 0, so it's right at the beginning. And then, like at the beginning, if you keep going and it's still current, it's still good. Now, the other case is where your streak is changing. So in the else clause, that means that whatever index you're on now, it's starting a new streak. So it makes sense there to set your current index because you're starting a new streak.
Okay, so
Do you know what I mean? Oh, perfect. Good. So, okay, so now what you've done is now every time that you're starting a new streak, you set the current index that you're at to I. Okay. Now, outside of, after that if clause, right? Now you're manipulating the longest streak, right? So you're checking if the current streak is greater than the longest streak. So you already are setting the longest streak, which is good. But now you have to remember what index that started at, right? So you have to do something with the longest index. What's that?
The longest. Oh wait, should I make a if loop or if statement?
Whatever Pranav put there for getting the longest streak is correct, but you haven't set the longest index, have you?
I just don't know because index would be the number at where the longest streak is at, but this one, the if statement has nothing to do with I and it has no number.
Mm-hmm. Well, that your current index is telling you where your current streak started, right? So when you track how long the longest streak is, I mean, what can we do about tracking where the longest index started, right?
We know it started at current index.
Aha, that's it. You just said the answer.
We don't know which is the longest one because right now it just has wherever it sees a repetition, that's what current index is. So we don't know which one's the longest.
But you do because you keep track of the longest one. You keep track of the longest streak. You have that calculated. all you have to do is keep track of the longest index whenever you change the longest streak.
I don't know how to.
Well, you're awfully close. Um, so you have an extra setting of longest index. Um, yeah. So now, okay. I mean, and then you have some extra noise at the bottom of the function, and then you have to take care of when the case that you have to return -1, but you've got most of it. So do you guys want, if you scroll to the top of the function, the method rather, so you have a good algorithm. There's no doubt about it. So thank you, Pranav, for figuring out the basic structure of what we're trying to do. So let me just point out a couple things. One is your current streak, the way you guys have it, you start at values, you go from 1 to values.length, right? Now, your current streak should start at 1. The reason why your current streak should start at 1 is that you do have the value in the 0 position of the array. So if the array starts off with values like 4, 4, you want to know that your current streak is going to be 2, not 1. So that will take care of that. And then the longest streak will take care of itself, because when you get to your if clause, you're going to check, and you're going to see that 2 is greater than 0. So that's fine. So that part is pretty good. Your current index starting at 0 is fine. The other logic. Now, the only thing you have to really take care of is the return, right? Okay, so if you go to the bottom of the method and take care of the return, yeah, okay. Oh. Almost, right? But what if there was no streak at all? Well, no, you'll get there, but I mean, it looks like your default value for longest index is 0, but they say in the method that they say what's supposed to happen if there's no streak, so you have to kind of handle that case.
What if the longest streak is 0?
Then you return -1 because that's not a streak.
No, like the 0th index. Start with the 0th index.
Streak isn't the index.
I mean, 0th index.
Is that right?
Yes. Good. So yeah, no, this is good work. Now, I mean, that took a good long time to kind of get there, So you guys might want to practice that type of problem. So looking at the questions, right? I'll point out a couple things. One is like the second question is something about this grid world that they used to do for APCS, and like everyone had to do it, but they don't have it that way anymore. So you could skip number two on the response question. But number three is about an electric car that they're trying to charge in some batteries, and that one actually looks, reasonably challenging. So you should do number three on your own and see if you can figure it out. And if you have time, do number four too.
Yeah,
And the good thing is they have answers. I think they. Oh, do they not have answers? Maybe they don't have answers in here. They don't have answers in here. But yeah, definitely you should do number three, number four, and try to get a little bit comfortable with, being asked this type of question, so you're not shell shocked when you hit the exam. But you work your way through this one pretty well. It's just, you just got to be more relaxed and comfortable. So I guess I would give you that homework to do number three, the electric car that runs on batteries that must be periodically recharged and so on.
okay. So tomorrow we don't have class, and next week we won't be able to come. Actually, maybe tomorrow we just have a live
Tomorrow,
stream. So maybe I can drop by, like, so Pranav has a performance at his school and I have a leadership camp, but mine's gonna
Okay.
end 10:30, so maybe I'll drop by for 1 hour if I can, because I would need like the transcript and stuff. But last class I don't think we're gonna cover anything.
Um, yeah, usually the last class is pretty lightweight. I mean, it will be doing this type of review. I mean, it'll be because um, we've already talked about the multiple choice questions. So in the first half of the class, we'll go over the multiple choice questions from this last section that we did. In the second half, then we'll cover the a few of these essay questions.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that would be the basic plan.
So
So, but I think Essen is planning to have a session tomorrow.
yeah.
yes.
So he should have sent out an email on on his platform for a session starting at 10 o'clock tomorrow. So, but that may be more folks. Hopefully, more folks will try to join in and see what's happening.
So
So, at any rate, what?
um, is there like any new information on how I can get the transcript? Or
Ah, well, I do not have it now, but I will work on it this weekend and try to put it very clearly. So the information that was requested was how many units is this class worth,
mm-hmm.
and then what grade did you actually get, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that means I have to grade all your assignments and then come up with something. So unfortunately, Nicole, who's actually a classroom teacher, stopped volunteering. At least I haven't seen her for months. So it'll either be 4 or 5 units, and then you do have some assignments I haven't graded.
Yeah.
So I'll grade
And
your
then the
assignment.
user interface and stuff, is that going to be a graded assignment?
The user interface. This is the requirements one.
Or yeah, sorry, my bad. The requirements and the other one, the design.
Did you do them?
I did part of them, but I never did the link that you sent us to make the diagram and stuff. So I'll just
But
carry
that's
that
okay.
tomorrow.
Well, I mean, there's a little bit of a qualitative assessment on, how much effort did you put in, how much class participation did you do, how many of the assignments did you do, and then a little bit of a curve, meaning that if you had an assignment that we gave out that like nobody could figure out, including you, then you're not going to be
Like
penalized on
a
it.
lot of the last few assignments I didn't do. Like the I remember there's like one lab assignment I didn't do, and then the user. because during the end I was like focusing on like the test and then using AP prep books to study, so I just didn't get around to doing it. Like, I'll turn in what I have for the unfinished one, so at least we can put some grade on them.
I mean, I wouldn't sweat it. I mean, you'll get either a B or an A. So,
See, the thing is,
I
like,
mean
if I
that.
get a B, then I'm not gonna put it on my transcript. So,
Oh, seriously?
yeah, because
Are you a straight A student? Are you one of those types?
yeah, um, so I mean, like, if I do get a B and I put it on my transcript, my GPA is just gonna go down. So, I wouldn't put it on my transcript particularly if I got a B. So I'm gonna see how many assignments I can get done by the time like you grade it, and then turn those in. And
Why
hopefully
don't
I
I
get one.
grade the assignments first to see where you're at?
Okay.
And then, but you know, most classes, I assume even in high school, they grade on a curve, right?
Yeah.
So graded on a curve, you'd be somewhere near the top of the class. So I wouldn't really worry about it.
Okay. Fine. So then I'll
All right.
focus on getting these tests done and stuff. And so I have some AP prep books of my own, so those have free responses as well. So I'll try to do some of those as well.
Yeah. So the Barron's one, even like the second exam, I think in the Barron's test is the same as the one I gave you earlier. So they have
Oh.
three tests. They have like a diagnostic test at the beginning.
Yeah.
Then they have, in fact, I think they have four. I mean, they have diagnostic test at the beginning. Then they have exam number two. Then they have exam number three. And then they have like an online test, which I could never figure out how to access.
Yeah. But then
So you'll have,
I'm borrowing another book from my friend, which is a Princeton review, which also has a couple exams. So I'll read
mhm.
that and then see how much I can figure out. Hopefully, and get it
Yeah,
covered.
but just so you don't get completely freaked out, that computer science 2009, the last one that I gave you,
Mhm.
that's probably the most realistic scenario because that's the real test that they really gave out in person. Whereas the ones in the test books, they tend to make those more difficult just to, you know, they make it twice as hard so you're twice as ready, basically.
Yeah, but like if I make like stupid mistakes like the ones I was doing right now, I mean, the test is literally in what after this weekend. There's one more weekend, and then that's it, right? So, we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, but you know, I wouldn't focus on. I mean, I would just focus on getting enough practice. Like if you do enough free response questions,
Mhm.
then you'll kind of get the pattern,
Okay.
and you'll be able to do them well enough.
Mhm. Okay. So I will do that.
My action item is to try to catch up on all the grading, especially for you and Albany, because
Yeah.
you guys are pretty keen on getting a grade and you know getting you there. So okay, so yeah, do those, and then you know attend Essence session tomorrow, and then if you guys are free after all the performances, then I will see you next week.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, guys, take it easy. Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye.